the mighty Himalayas and the charm they cast. One voyage to the mountains and you'll not stay the same. You'll always be waiting for another trip back to its mighty folds. Growing up, I used to hear a lot of stories of Tibet from my friends, whose parents and grandparents had made this arduous journey across the Himalayas. Back then, there were no asphalt roads, nor lodges serving warm food and a place to sleep. They had made this journey on foot, and this makes me often imagine the strength of human determination and makes me respect the resilience of those people. They used to describe a land very serene and the people living there pure, not in terms of race, but in terms of their thoughts. This was a land that was blessed by the Buddha himself. It was not just only them who said this, but Heinrich Harrer too, who had lived in Tibet for 7 years and known the culture well and written the book, 7 Years in Tibet. Here is a quote from his book.
That's the Olympic gold medal, says Heinrich Harrer. Not important, says Pemalaki. And continues on to say, this is another great difference between our civilization and yours. You admire the man who pushes his way to the top in any walk of life, while we admire the man who abandons his ego.
After reading the book and watching the movie based on it, featuring Brad Pitt, I wanted to see Tibet with my own eyes. And here I was, and the place was right in front of me, looking down at me like a mother looking down at her child. It was exactly like they had described it, and I had dreamt of it. I had so much in my mind, yet I could not say a word. I was so mesmerized. I loved the way Heinrich Harrer had described Tibet in the letter he has sent to his son while he was in Tibet. Here is Brad Pitt reading out the letter.
I'm a person you don't know, a man you've never met. But you are someone who occupies my mind and my heart in this distant land where I've gone. If you can imagine a hidden place tucked safely away from the world, concealed by walls of high snow-capped mountains, a place rich with all the strange beauty of your nighttime dreams, then you know where I am. In the country where I'm traveling, Tibet, people believe if they walk long distances to holy places, it purifies the bad deeds they've committed. They believe the more difficult the journey, the greater the depth of purification. I've been walking from one faraway place to the next for many years, as long as you have lived. I've seen seasons change across the high plateaus. I've seen wild kiangs migrate south in winter, then sweep back across the fields when spring appears. In this place where time stands still, it seems that everything is moving, including me. I can't say I know where I'm going, nor whether my bad deeds can be purified. There are so many things I've done which I regret. But when I come to a full stop, I hope you will understand that the distance between us is not as great as it seems. With deep affection, your father, Heinrich Harrer.
Hold I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
After some bumpy roads and some good ones, and hours of endless driving across the Tibetan plateau, we finally make it to the Gurudongmar Lake. Situated at an altitude of 5,300 meters, which is approximately 17,800 feet above sea level, it is the highest lake in India and also one of the holiest lake in Buddhism, Hinduism, and Sikhism. So it's often suggested that you don't smoke around the lake or drink the day before you visit the lake. If available, do carry a can of oxygen, because you would not realize the altitude until you have already fallen sick.
The lake is named after Guru Padmasambhava, also known as Guru Rinpoche, who is the founder of Tibetan Buddhism and visited Tibet in the 8th century. This lake is a freshwater lake, but is devoid of any life due to the high altitude and extreme temperatures. The water used to be very clear and the bed of the lake could be seen even in the middle of the lake, but pollution and recent tourist visits have muddied the water and the lake has taken a whitish tinge. But, nevertheless, the lake is still blue and very visible.
Legend has it that this lake used to be frozen all year round, and the people who lived around this place were not able to use the water of the lake for drinking.
They prayed to Guru Padmasambhava to help them. The Guru, of course, agreed to help them, and he put his hand on the small area of a lake.
And ever since, that small spot of the lake never freezes, even during very cold winters. This is where the people and their animals get their drinking water from.
The locals here do a perimeter walk around the lake, hoping for blessings and their sins to be washed away. They are natives and are acclimatized to this place, but visitors often find it very difficult, even to take a few steps. You will also face fierce winds in the plateau next to the lake. It is often suggested to start your journey early, as visiting the lake is prohibited after 1 p.m. due to heavy winds.
Our local guides suggested us to leave very early in the morning from Thangu and reach Gurudongmar before lunchtime, and leave from there within an hour or two.
This landscape is shaped by the power of the sun and the wind, and natural sculptures like these ice axes and caves can only be seen here and in Iceland.
We could often hear the ice sculptures break and fall apart as the sun grew stronger, only to be reshaped by the winds at night. A cycle of creation, destruction and recreation was right in front of our eyes. Leaving this place, I felt a sense of peace within me, which I hadn't felt any time before. This place did have a magical charm. Maybe it was the friends I was traveling with made me feel this way, or maybe it was the high altitude, or maybe it was just me hoping for some peace. Peace is costly, but it's worth the expense. Here is another expert from 7 years in Tibet that really inspires me.
When you're climbing, your mind is clear. You eat of all confusions. focus. And suddenly, the light becomes sharper, sounds are richer, and you are filled with the deep, powerful presence of life.
Let's take a moment to look back at our journey until now and view it on a map. We had started the second phase of our journey in Gangtok, and then crawled down the slope to the other side of the city of Gangtok, which was of course filled with trees and native plants to ride alongside the banks of the Teesta River. This entire journey was to the origin of the Teesta River, hence our best guide for this journey was the Teesta River itself. We had to only follow its flow in the opposite direction all the way up into the Tibetan plateau.
The river and valley have been made for each other, and you rarely get to see something complementing each other so well that it feels like they are blending together and falling in love to become a single soul. We reached the picturesque town of Chungthang, which is the confluence of two rivers, River Lachen and Lachung, both of which are tributaries of the river Teesta.
The road bifurcates into two parts at Chungthang. One towards the left goes to Lachen and the other one goes to Lachung. We first went up left to Lachen. According to Lepcha legends, in the mythical land of Male Yang, Rongnyu was a vibrant lady and Rangeet was her lover. Many years ago, before the land of Sikkim was populated by humans, the river spirits Rangeet, the symbol of the masculine, and Rongnyu, the feminine, combined to form Teesta and were revered by the goddess mother, Itbu Moose. Even today, Lepcha brides and bridegrooms are taken to the rivers, and people wish the newlyweds a happy and prosperous life, like that of the two river spirits.
Lachen onwards, the roads get much steeper, passing through the challenging terrain into the highlands of Tibet. Thanks to the modern marvels of the automotive engine and the hard work of the people of the Indian Army and the Border Road Organization, we did not have to set a single step on the earth as we were cruising past this area on a very comfortable SUV, whilst enjoying the beautiful view of the landscape. Our destination was Gurudongmar, but every mile we passed presented us with memorable views that we had never seen before.
The next destination that we were heading to was Chopta Valley and the 0 point there. The 0 point was right across the mountain ridge from Gurudongmar, and a trek there would have taken about 2 to 3 hours. But there are no motorable roads over the ridge to the high pass.
The terrain here is unforgiving, and walking an hour through these highlands, going up the steep slopes and back down, without proper acclimatization or equipment, is a risk no one should take. While it might seem easy, in these high altitudes, one never realizes the pain until it's too late. The best way to get to 0 point was in the comforts of the SUV, driving down to Chungthang and going up the other side of the valley, into Lachon and then the Chungthang Valley. Whilst this journey was long, it was worthwhile to explore the other side of the valley, wherein the Lachung tributary of the river Teesta flows from.
Tibet is known as the roof of the world, and it is often said that to explore the story of Guru Rinpoche is to explore Tibet in the Himalayan landscape, as they are synonymous. The mountains, hills, and valleys bear the markings of his presence and tell the tale of his feats. Each region has its own unique Guru Rinpoche story. A cave where he meditated, or a footprint in stone, or the consecrated remains of a demon.
Our stay for this evening was the village of Lachung. We had driven down the valley through Chungthang and made it to the other side of the valley. We were awaiting the surprises that Chungthang Valley had kept for us. And surprise, meet Oreo. He is a local feline celebrity here. He has single-handedly taken down the evil rats and dangerous birds, protecting the humans of Lachung.
The Chungthang Valley is also often called as the Sikkim Valley of Flowers Sanctuary. It is a nature sanctuary which has rivers, hot springs, yaks, and grazing pasture on rolling meadows surrounded by the Himalayan mountains. It is at an elevation of 3,564 meters above the mean sea level, and is at a distance of 150 kilometers from the state capital of Gangtok. Here is Chungthang as described by The Lonely Planet.
This picturesque valley widens and flattens. The scenery slowly transforms into a montage of jagged snowy peaks, fluttering prayer flags, lush green pastures, and snow-covered pine trees.
This amazing place is unexploited and unexplored as the valley is tucked between snow-capped peaks and pine forests. Spring is the best time to visit this place, as it is the start of the blooming of the rhododendron flowers. Multicolored wildflowers, flowering pine trees, herds of grazing yaks with their tingling bells against the backdrop of snow-laden mountains make it a virtual paradise on earth.
This land is home to more than 40 species of rhododendron shrubs, along with other trees, including poppies, aconites, gentians, penintillas, among many other. This valley is nature's garden in its right spirit, and thus it's rightly called a valley of flowers. The Himalayan mountain range and Tibetan plateau have formed as a result of the collision between the Indian continent and Eurasian continent, which began 50 million years ago and continues today.
The landscape that we see here is the result of a landslide caused by a massive earthquake. You might also call it as a rock avalanche. Here is another cycle of creation, destruction, and recreation right in front of us. Like a fluid, this landscape transforms itself from one shape into the other. The red hue is provided by the moss growing on the rocks, which paints the entire landscape in its color. Visibly, there are no trees in this area, as this is a recent geological feature, and there has not been enough time for nature to take over.
We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we have enjoyed creating it. Have you been to Sikkim? Let us know about your experiences and unique stories that you have come across during your travels in the comments below.
Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes where we head to the 0 point. Stay awesome and have a wonderful time ahead. The world is a book. Those who do not travel
read only one page.
Here is a trailer from the next episode.